So what we're going to do now is create a program in Scratch from this pseudocode, from the pseudocode video that we had, you might have seen before. This was a program where if you inputted 5 and 4 and you performed this operation here, it would output at 10.5. You're taking half of the first number, so half of 5, which is 2.5, with double the second number. So double 4 would be 8. 2.5 plus 8 gets us 10.5. So we had created this pseudocode, and now we're going to actually create the block code in Scratch that matches this plan. So if you haven't already, you'll need to make sure you go and create a Scratch account, and we will be creating a new project. Now, as I go through here, I'm not going to show all the highlights. There are other instructional videos sort of highlighting all the different things that you can do in Scratch and the different commands and things like that, but I will be highlighting the ones that we need to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to call this one input output class, because this is the one we are doing in class. Okay, and just every once in a while you'll probably want to go and save now. It does do automatic saving, but not as frequently as maybe you would expect. So every once in a while you just want to save your work. Secondly, just for the purpose of the video, I'm going to push this button up in the top right, and that's going to sort of minimize my stage, so I'll have lots of room to create my program. And I'll switch back and forth between the pseudocode and the actual coding that we're going to do here. So one thing, it says start the code. So that might seem kind of obvious, but in Scratch what we want to do is we always have to start, we have to tell the program where we're starting. And that is under events. So you'll see it's yellow. And the one I use most often is start when the flag is clicked. I'll make this bigger for the purpose of the video. So click on, all you have to do is drag out this. If you drag out the wrong thing, you just go and put it back and it disappears, but I'm going to drag this out. And that way we'll start our command by pushing this symbol up there. So we're going to start with that. You'll also notice that the color here is meant to match the color of the boxes that or the code boxes that you'll be using, the blocks. Next, we have to input two numbers. So we have to ask our user to input stuff. You may have saw that it's blue. It's actually a light blue, and it's under sensing. So you're going to go push sensing, and we're going to ask the user a question. So here's the ask block. So we pull this out, and notice if you put it underneath, it'll click it together. Okay, anything you pull out here and are just working on isn't part of the program until it gets clicked up in there. But I've got this ask. So we're going to ask the user, what is the first number? And then just you'll notice underneath here, there's this little answer thing. I'm going to pull that out and just put it off to the side for a moment. So we're asking, what is the first number? So back to our code, we have to take this and store it in a variable. You remember, a variable is a temporary storage location of information that the user puts in or is calculated inside the program. So we have to take this and we have to create a variable. So you're going to go to orange and click on variable, and you'll see we're going to pull out the set variable. Now, it says set my variable. Well, that's not a very good name for a variable. So we are going to click on make a variable. And since this is a variable for the first number, I'm going to just simply call it first and push OK. And so now you see I've got this variable first. So I don't want to set my variable to the answer. I want to set first. So I click on the menu here, and I can choose the first variable that I created. And what am I setting it? Well, I'm not setting it to equal to 0. I'm setting it to whatever the answer is to my ask question. So you see this ask, and then the answer comes out. It goes into this spot, and it becomes the variable first. So if a user puts in 5, the answer will be 5, and the variable first will turn into a 5. All right, so that's inputting one number, but we need to ask it about two numbers. So we have to repeat this all over again. So we can go back to sensing, pull out ask. This time we're going to ask, what is the second number? And again, we're going to need to assign that answer. Oh, I forgot to pull out the answer thing. So I'll just pull it out here and put it here. I'm going to set this to answer, but I don't want to set first because that would just copy over top of my other variable. I need a new variable. So I'm going to go to make variable, and I'm going to call this one second for second number. And I'm not going to assign the first number to answer. I'm going to assign the second number to answer. So what is the first number? It gets put into the variable first. What is the second number? That answer gets put into the variable second. All right, so we've got our inputted two numbers. We've stored them in variables so that we can use them to perform the calculations. And here's the calculations we're going to do. We're going to do sum of half of the first and double the second. So we need to do some commands. You may notice that this was in green, so I bet it's under green for operations. And there's lots of math operations here, but the ones that we'll need are these ones up here. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to take half. So that's what divides. So we're going to pull out the divide one. So there's the slash. And what am I doing? I'm dividing the first number by 2. So I need the first number in this little spot. So I got to go back to variables, and I grab the first and I put it in the spot. And what am I doing to that? I'm dividing it by 2. So there's the command that's doing the first number divided by 2. So whatever the person puts in the first, it's going to divide that answer by 2. Now the second operation, we have to double the second one. So I'm going to go up here to operations again. I'm going to choose the times. So remember the times is the star button on your computer. And this time I'm going to double the second one. So that means I'm going to go to variables, and I'm going to choose the second variable and put that into the spot there. And of course we're doubling it, so that means timesing it by 2. So I have the first variable, or the first number divided by 2, and the second number times 2. Now if we go back, remember that these instructions say we are going to take the sum of the half the first and double the second, which means I have to add these answers. So I'll go back to operations, and I'm going to grab the add. Oops, just grab the add and put it out here. All right, now this is where it can get a little bit dicey, so just be a little bit careful. We're going to add this is going to go into this spot, and the second times 2 is going to go into the second spot. But be careful on where you grab it. So if you just grab right here, you'll actually grab the wrong thing. We need to grab the whole green operation. So to do that, the easiest spot to grab is right here. And then you can go and drag it into that spot. So you see, you know you're in the right spot when it highlights it. You see how it's highlighted, and then it's in there. So there's the first command. This is like brackets. Okay, so you're going to do this bracket first. And then here's the second bracket. Again, be careful. Don't grab this because you'll be grabbing the whole thing. But be very careful to this step. So you might want to watch here. If you aren't very careful and you just try and put it up here, you see how the 2 got highlighted? And if I put it there, it's putting it in the wrong spot. So Control Z will undo, and that will bring it back out. So I usually bring it in from the side here. So I grab it there, and I see there's the spot that's highlighted. Not down here, not over here. Okay, you got to be careful and put it right there. And again, you can see it's kind of like brackets. So it's going to do the brackets division, and then the brackets multiplication. It's going to take those 2 answers and add it up. And there's our command of the math that we're doing. Now, I need to take all this and put it someplace, because I'm going to do the operation, but I have to store that in something called answer, or you could call it sum if you wanted. But I need that variable. So I go back to variable, make a variable, and I'm going to make this variable answer. Could make it sum as well for the result of an addition, but I'm going to do answer. And then I'm going to pull out the set. And you'll see that answer is already chosen. This goes alphabetically, so A being at the beginning gets that. And what do I want to set my answer to? Well, I want to set my answer to this whole command. So I need to take this and put it in to the spot where it says 0. Again, be careful of how you grab it. If you just grab here, you're going to grab the wrong part. And now look at it, it's all messed up. So Control Z. I'm going to grab the middle, And again, you got to be careful where you put it in. So I usually come from the side so I can see it highlighted. If I come underneath, I can't tell if it's highlighted or not. So I come to the side and I see that it's highlighted, and there you go. I'll just make this a little bit smaller so you can see that entire command. All right, so let's review our program. What is the first number? It gets an answer. It goes into the variable first. Then we ask, what's the second number? It takes that answer and puts it into the second. I do this command of first divided by 2 plus second times 2, and I put that calculation into a variable called answer. All right, so I think this is all great, but if I run my program, so the way you run the program is you can come back to the stage here and you can push the go. It will ask, what's the first number? So I'm going to do my test on the 5 and 4 like I did over here, so I can get 10.5. So I'm going to go 5, enter, and you notice that it puts it up there as the variable. 4, enter, and it says the answer right here, which is great. So I've done it correctly, but I'd like this to be a little bit more interactive. Since Sprite, which is the name of the cat here, since Sprite or Scratch ask the questions, I'd like it to spit out the answer. So I'm going to minimize this and just add to my program. I'm going to get it to say something at the end. So I'm not asking, because that would require some feedback. I'm going to get it to say. So you might see that this is a display, so it's a purple. So there's 2 purples. I think the dark purple is what I want, the looks. And you see lots of saying things. So I want to say hello. I'm going to put it at the end. Now, what do we want to say? Well, we don't want it to say hello at the end. We want it to say something like, the answer is 10.5. So we're going to create a sentence. Now, we can't type all, if we're going to combine some stuff in our sentence, we're going to need this other operation. So again, go to operations, so that's the green. And it seems kind of funny, but we're going to grab this. It's called join apple and banana. This is a way to join 2 pieces of text or variables. So instead of saying join apple and banana, I'm going to change apple to the answer is, and put a colon, and I'm going to put a space just so that there's a space between it. And then I want it to say what the answer is. So the answer is the variable answer. So I'm going to go back to variables, grab answer, oops, and put it in the second spot. So it's now going to say the answer is, and then whatever the answer is calculated will spit out there. And I'm going to take this sentence and I'm going to put it into say. Okay, so there's the entire program now. And it should spit out the answer down here and have the cat say it. So again, I'm going to make this a little bigger so you can see. So I will push go again. So what is the first number? 5. What is the second number? 4. And there it is. The cat is saying the answer is 10.5. And my program does everything that I wanted it to do. And if you remember, we did this. We also asked what would happen if you reverse these. I think this was a question up here. Yeah, what would happen if you reversed it? So if you reversed it and you put in 4 first, half of 4 is 2. And if you put in 5 second, double 5 is 10. So 10 plus 2 is 12. So let's just do that test here. I'm going to push the green again. This time I'm going to put in 4 and 5 as my second number, and sure enough it works. It says the answer is 12. Now there's one last little thing, just where this is a tidy up thing that you might be interested in doing. Notice when I start a new program, when I start it over, the old variables are there. So if I choose new numbers, you know, everything from the old thing is still there, and I don't really like that. Oops. Oh, sorry. So I put in 10 and let's put in 5 and it says the answer is 15. But again, when I push this, all the old variables are still there. So I'm going to stop this program. By the way, if you're in the middle of it and you notice an error, you see that this is highlighted. That means the program's actually running. So to stop it, you're going to stop that. Now you can edit it. Okay, so I'm going to do this cool little feature just to clean this up a bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this. I'm going to start a command right at the beginning, even before it asks what's the first number. I'm going to set my first number to be 0. So that when I push go, all the numbers will, well, the variable first will go to 0. And I will set the second number to 0. And I'm going to set answer to 0. So I've just added that to my programming. So this will clean things up. It'll set things equal to 0, and then it will continue on and ask the questions, and then spit out the answer. But the next time it should set it equal to 0. So let's go here. You see the numbers are from my old attempt are there, but if I push the go, oh, it's reset to 0. So now I'm going to say, oh, let's try 9 and 4. And it does the calculation and spits out 12.5. I think that's right, because that's a 5.5, 4.5 plus double that is 8, so that's 12.5. Yep, so that's working. So the answer is 12.5. All right, so I have now finished that program. I'm going to push save. Maybe I should have probably pushed save halfway through there, but just wanted to keep this all clean. And we have successfully created our first program. Now, if you're in Mr. Lee's class, I'll probably get you to share this and hand it in. So if we are going to share this, you're going to click share. If you have trouble sharing, you might have to verify your account by your email, but I've already done that. And then what you can do is go down here and push copy link. And then we can copy this link, and you can go into Google Classroom and insert that link into the assignment that I've created for this little activity. All right, so there is our first program that we've created in Scratch.